Good morning and welcome to another week on Joining the Dots. Today I'm going to say the game is bond, long bonds. Yeah, bonds are going to be the key to the whole mess that is just about to appear on our horizon. I've been trying to warn you of what's coming, and it's unavoidable. So please don't think that any clever politician out there or economist out there can get us out of this. It has to happen. And the game is bond. Yes, long bonds. America, Germany and Japan are all set to issue a significant amount of long bonds in early September. Now, it's always dangerous to make a big call, but I think I'm pretty much 60%, so not 100%, but more than 50%, thinking that September is going to be the month where we see some incredible drama in the financial markets. And it's not uncommon for September to be that month. Just some highlights though on what we've achieved so far, because I looked just out of curiosity, and as you know, my gold, my silver plays and my crypto play have been Agnico-Eagle, Pan American and XRP. So I looked and I thought, well, there's a mixed bag. This month, Agnico-Eagle up 16%, 1 month, 16%. Pan American silver, 26%, 1 month, 26%. Now XRP is down 12%, it's had a rough month. Most of the crypto market has. Bitcoin is 108, now it was 120, so similar, 12%. Year to date though, let's have a look, shall we? Agnico-Eagle up 76%, Pan American up 58% and XRP up 24%. So we're doing well. My journey is navigating this madness, which is ideological, political, just a disaster of enormous proportions built on by incremental creep, by incremental creeps who practice an ideology that just doesn't work economically. No more can this be seen than what Europe has just done. As we know, Europe hit the pipeline, the oil pipeline, very early on in the Ukrainian mess that is sitting in the centre of Europe. And they hit that oil pipeline, which has caused massive problems in Europe in terms of energy supply. And it's caused Germany to go into a recession. And it's a serious, serious recession in Germany. They're not used to it. They don't know how to cope with it. Okay, they're in a mess. And their bond rates are rising, rising, rising. France and Germany, now, their bond rates, the two core countries, so not your Italys, not your Spains, not your Greeces, not the ones that sort of caused the 2011 Eurobond crisis, but Germany and France, the core countries, their 30-year bond rates now are above where they were in 2011 in that crisis. Now, I saw that crisis. I've got a lot of stories in my past because I tend to talk to people. And I talked to Jeff Randall at Maidan, Jeff Randall of Sky News, Daily Telegraph, Sunday Times, I think he's done a bit. And I said to him, Jeff, we're going to have a Eurobond crisis. And he said, no, we can't, because the euro is one currency. I said, yeah, but the bonds aren't. They're all issued by individual countries. I said, they will attack the weakest bond in the euro market. And after about 3 hours of talking while watching the racing, I actually gave him a lift back to his hotel and he ran. And next day, the Daily Telegraph, Ambrose Evans Pritchard, printed a big piece on Eurobond crisis to come, and it did. The job is to see these things in advance. The job is to join the dots, see the clues, see the dots, join them, and come up with a hypothesis that is reasonably sure. Reasonably. Doesn't mean it has to be 100%. So many people on these YouTube sites, if you're not 100% right, they're not interested. They're missing the point. They're really, truly missing the point. No one is 100% right. But on the balance, we're doing very, very well, as I've just proved with the numbers. So, long bonds are going to be the problem in September. And these rates are going higher, and you saw that in yesterday's video. You saw the chart of all the 30-year bonds. They're not cutting, are they? They're not falling rates, they're going up. Risk is going up. That's why the bond rate moves higher. Risk. So we see that these countries are having to issue bonds in September. Germany, Japan, US, all coming to the market in September. Doesn't look good. Then we go to China. Now here's, again, I want to mix it up. Okay, that's all economics. Now the politics. China. A leading Chinese paper has just attacked Taiwan for being Nazi. Yes, the fascists are calling the non-fascists fascist. Saw that throughout COVID. Saw it through everything in COVID. All you do is shout fascist or Nazi at someone and you completely take away their platform to discuss, debate, hypothesize, anything. And that's fascism. No other opinion allowed. So by merely calling other people fascist, you are the fascist and you stop them from having an opinion. That's fascism. It's not difficult. It's so simple. It's PSYOPs 101. Absolutely 101 PSYOPs. And it's being practiced at the moment throughout this world by all sorts of different interest groups. But it's too coordinated for me to be an accident. It's too coordinated. We'll come back to that. And then I'm going to talk about the EU. And I mean, they've got their bond problems, which I've just talked about. Now think about this, okay? So they blew up the Norsk pipeline, didn't they? The Hydro, whatever it's, Norsk Hydro, Norsk, I can't remember now. They bombed that. They blew it up at the beginning of the war, thus forcing energy prices up in Europe. And now what have they done? They've attacked or allowed Ukraine to attack a pipeline which feeds Hungary and Slovakia. 50% of all Hungarian and Slovakian oil comes from this Russian pipeline. Why did they do it? Because Hungary and Slovakia are blocking Ukraine coming into the EU. They're using their veto. So now the EU is attacking the EU to stop countries blocking Ukraine, which is a complete and utter disaster, mess, was totally undemocratic, had no democracy before the war, coming into the EU, which of course is a red flag to Russia because you're putting it on its border. What is going on? This is the EU blowing up a pipeline that feeds two of the EU countries, having blown up the first one, which feeds all the EU countries, particularly Germany. Ideology becomes utter madness because it has no consideration at all for the consequences. None. Zero. Zilch. So the EU is attacking itself just as it's going to have to issue masses and masses of bonds. It's very clever, isn't it? Very clever. There's a big article on that and I'll post it. It's called the Druzhba Pipeline. And I'll also link the Chinese attack on Taiwan as Nazi. Can you see that? And I'm just going to, one more economics thing, US housing, one more. David Rosenberg, who is a very sound, very well-grounded commentator, I think he's Canadian, has come up with an analysis of the US housing market. And on all metrics now, the situation, the whole situation, not just one part of it, okay, join the dots, the whole situation is worse than 2008. I'm just telling you as it is. I'm honestly telling you as it is. What they're seeing is Case-Shiller shows US houses down now, prices for the last 4 months. Case-Shiller is the most influential index. It's the biggest asset on commercial bank balance sheets. Yes, just like Australia. 66% of all lending in Australia is for mortgages. Wow. Here we see inventory levels swelling. And the real estate deflation cycles never end well, says Rosenberg. Of course they don't, because of the exposure of the banks and because of the gearing and the level and the people's gearing and the people's... and jobs are being lost. It's a mess. So we're coming into September, which is a month when a lot of people come back to work seriously after the summer holidays and the children are back at school. and they're going to come into, I think, a crisis. And these are disparate reports, aren't they? You've got bond rates, you've got the issuance of bonds, you've got China calling Taiwan Nazi. That seems to be a little bit of preparation to me. That's feeding the narrative. Okay, I'm always worried about China and Taiwan, as you know, because if the West becomes embroiled in an attack on, shall we say, Iran, then China may have a green light. The EU is attacking itself and destroying its own countries' fuel supplies. Brilliant. Well done, EU. E-useless, I call them, and I think it's appropriate. And then you get on to US housing, the biggest, most influential market for the ordinary person in the United States of America. And it's at 2000, it's worse on the metrics than 2008. Can you see the risks? I'm not saying they'll all happen. Can you see the risks? And with these risks, people need to find safety. And where do they find safety at the moment? Where is the only place that people are looking for safety at the moment? Gold? Silver? Indeed. And obviously crypto for those who are looking much further forward or looking forward and saying, this is so bad, we're going to need a new system. And if we need a new system, it won't be fiat-based, it will be precious metal backed or it will be crypto backed, but it has to be something different. That's where we are. Thank you very much.